Hi guys, BoldSauce here once again and welcome back to another deck review. This time it's USSR, and before we go into detail, I just want to point out that I find it pretty difficult to build a balanced infantry tab for USSR. And the reason for that is just that everything is so expensive. Like, as you can see, everything that I went for is either 25 points or more expensive, and the only cheap infantry you get are these Motor Strelikies, and everything else is pretty expensive. Well, you can go for the Motor Strelikie 90s, but it's basically the same with a better RPG. But yeah, I try to make it as powerful as possible, not really as balanced as possible. As you can see, no AT gems in there, but this will still deal a lot of damage to the enemy in a town, but not so much against tanks on long ranges. So yeah, before we get into that, let's go through the logistics. Just a basic loadout here. As you can see, a fob, supplies, and then a command vehicle. Only one command this time because I really needed those 3 points somewhere else here. But yeah, infantry. So I have the Spetsnaz in Mi-8 MTVs and actually a pretty cool helicopter with 20 122mm rockets. And the Spetsnaz, of course, as you know, come with the RPO RIS RPG, and that just deals a lot of damage to infantry and everything that is light. But Spetsnaz are not good against tanks, and that's when you need a different card or more infantry to actually support the Spetsnaz if the enemy rolls up with a lot of armor. And that's basically where the VDV-90 comes in place. Those guys have the Vampire missile or RPG. That thing just wrecks everything. It's basically like the Panzerfaust 3. And yeah, it has an AP of 24, 70% accuracy, almost max range on most RPGs, 875. I think that's actually max range on these kind of RPGs, but I'm not sure. But yeah, 10 rounds per minute, and on top of that they have the AK-74 and RPK-74, so that's a really good loadout. They have shock, training, 10-man squads. So that's a perfect combination, Spetsnaz and some VDV-90s that will absolutely destroy anything. But yeah, to follow up with those units, I have some Morskaya Fehota, and these are actually quite similar to the VDV-90 if you add everything up. So the only difference here is the RPGs. Morskaya Fehota have the downgraded RPG, if you compare these two. The RPGs have a V with 17 AP, 40% accuracy and all, and the VDV-90 with the Vampire. So the Vampire is way better than the RPGs, but the Morskaya Fehota have a 15-man squad, so that's really what's important when you compare these two. And let's say the enemy moves in a lot of heavy tanks, you might want to put some more VDV-90 up there, but if the enemy is mainly pumping the town with infantry where you're fighting as well, you might want to get some more Morskaya Fehotas in there and get the upper head, you know, the upper, Jesus, get some more number of infantry in there so you can actually counter that, the upper hand. Damn English. So yeah, basically Spetsnaz in the start, VDV-90 to support that with some AT power, and then if the enemy is moving in a lot of infantry, get some Morskaya Fehotas, and these actually come in the BTR-90 here with the 30mm cannon and grenade launcher, and then at last we have the Motor Strelikie to basically fill up any gaps and you know, to basically support all of these infantry units if necessary. And then we have some Igla N squads. It's just some man pads, and I don't really know if there's any better ones, but I think that's the best one you can go for. Yeah, it is. So yeah, if you don't like Spetsnaz, if you want something cheaper, you can go for the Saperzi 85. Basically the same as a Spetsnaz, but with lower training, less men in a squad, no LMG, and a slightly downgraded assault rifle probably. But yeah, they have the same RPO, so that damage will be the same. So if you want something cheaper and, you know, just spammy, you could say, like 20 points for these guys are just nothing. You can just get them in, I would probably get them in BTR 60s or BTR 70s, because those guys go 150 kilometers per hour, and just put them in towns to support my VDV and Morskaya Fehota. But yeah, Spetsnaz just really good for infantry. But yeah, as I said, infantry tab, not that confident about. I'm sure that this is powerful enough, but it won't work on all maps, like really open maps. I would probably need some Conqueror's M in there, and probably some more VDV90s or something. And if I'm playing on a huge map, I would need them in MI24s, or yeah. Anyway, support tab. Something we really feel confident about is the Tunguska M. Amazing AA piece. Do keep in mind that you get only 4 of them, so you need to micro them to hell. But yeah, the good thing about the Tunguska M is that it has an insane range on those Sackless missiles, so you won't have to put it directly at your front line. Just keep it behind the front line, like 500 meters on your side of the front line, and they will still be able to attack helis that are at max range. Like if, let's say the town has a vehicle of you in it, and there's a enemy tow heli firing at it, you will still be in range to fire at him and still be way away from the front line, if that makes any sense. So yeah, that those Sackless missiles are just really good. Let's keep it at that. 65% accuracy and 7 HE, so one shot any heli and stun heavy hinds and havocs and whatever else the enemy throws at you. And on top of that, it has that twin autocannon, which is just amazing. Then we have some missile AA, the Buck M1, really good AA piece, 45-50 meter range, 65% accuracy, 9 HE, and I remember AA pieces having 10 HE, which was just crazy times. But yeah, we have put them on trained. We don't really need more accuracy than that. That's just really good as it is. But yeah, whatever the Tunguska does not finish in terms of planes, the Buck will finish. Or the other way around, depends on how you put these guys on the front. Then we have some artillery, and the Smirch is pretty much there to stun or kill the enemy tanks when we move in our tanks, or basically to move the enemy away from a forest that they just, you know, blobbed up in with all of their armor and stuff. But yeah, the Smirch is really good to do that. It does fire slow compared to like the RM27, I believe, the East German one. So yeah, the enemy will probably see it and just move away from there. So that's his main purpose. If the enemy is actually paying attention, they will have to move away from the spot that you fire at. So if it's forest, they will move away from that forest and you will be able to get in with your tanks. So it's just a really good deterrent. Then we have some shell artillery, the Musta. Really good artillery piece. Basically like a downgraded K9 Thunder in terms of rate of fire. That should tell you more than enough. It's just a really good arty piece, really tight spread, pretty much max range, 7 HE, so that's a lot of HE. And I didn't go for mortars because, well, I need those 3 extra points somewhere else. You'll notice where, in tanks and recon most of the time. But yeah, the Musta will also serve as my smoke, pretty much. It delivers a huge shell, so like one shell will pretty much be... well, I should say 4 shells will be enough smoke for you to assault a town most of the time. But yeah, that's just my gameplay, I guess. Sometimes I just use heavy RT pieces as a smoke piece. Then we have the tanks. And the USSR tanks are actually quite nice and balanced in terms of pricing and performance. So our cheapest tank is a T-72A, and we have 18 of them on trained. And this guy is there for pretty much supporting our infantry, or to you know, take part in the initial rush to try to take down some of the transport that the enemy brings in the start of the game. 14 AP on those, 4 HE, so a lot of damage to infantry, and 13 front armor, so that's a really nice tank for the price. Then we have something heavier, and let's actually compare those two. We have something with 2 more front armor, 5 more accuracy, and 4 more AP. And 4 sphere missiles for only 40 points. So 40 points extra gets you all of this, and it's just a really good tank, the T-72B. It has an amazing cannon, really good AT gems. The sphere missiles are the same on the T-72BU, but they are guided instead of semi-active. So yeah, that's just a really good weapon to have on your tanks, and it will deal a lot of damage to enemy tanks when you're going towards a tank fight. Just attack move with your tanks and they will fire those AT gems, and they will hit when the enemy tanks are in range of your tanks, or the enemy tank is in range to fire with his cannon to your tanks. So that's just a really good weapon to have if you want to deal the first blow to the enemy. Then we have something more or upgraded than the T-72B, and the only upgrade here is basically the armor. And as you can see, it has 3 more front armor, 1 more side, and everything else is exactly the same. Yep, it has the same weapon, same stats here down below. So the only differences are the armor pieces, and you can see that. Like this one, it has like all of those reactive armor, or all of those extra armor strapped onto it. This one doesn't. So that's the only difference right there for 30 points, which might seem a lot, but it will make the tank more likely to survive some shells to the face. Then if you want to really deal some damage, T-72BU or the T-90, 23 AP on that, 65% accuracy cannon. On top of that, it has semi-active spheres with stabilizers, so it can fire on the go. 22 front armor and 10 side armor, so really amazing tank right there. So pretty balanced in my opinion. I would probably put the T-72Bs or all of these T-72s just stationary somewhere. Fire those sphere missiles, so wreck the enemy tanks to like half health and then move into cannon range. That's a really dirty move, but it works, and in war you just gotta do it. Then we have some recon, and as I said, since I didn't really feel comfortable about my force in the infantry tab, I went for a lot of Spetsnaz GRUs, and I went for one really cheap version of it, the Spetsnaz GRUs in Urals, and I went for the more expensive ones in Mi-24Ds. And this will basically fly together with my Spetsnaz at the start to give it some extra RPGs, and or to flank around and go for enemy commands. And the Spetsnaz GRUs and Urals will basically be a ground force, you know, that will move together with my VDVs. Then we have some recon helis, the Mi-2s with very good optics. I don't really go for the K-52, it's just way too expensive for what you... Well, you do get some good stuff like seed missiles and 4 Igla V missiles and all. I don't know, I just don't really use it that much. Maybe I should actually. I mean, it's like only 30 points more expensive than Mi-24V. So, you know what? Because you guys are screaming, use it, I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna get 2 hardened and see how it goes, and hopefully I can show that to you guys in the game. Alright, then we have some vehicles, of course, the BMPT, and this thing is just an infantry destroyer. 30mm grenade launcher on top, 100mm cannon, anti-infantry cannon, mind you, no AP value on that, so only HE value, and a 30mm cannon. So that's a really good vehicle. And what really bugs me is that this thing has 15 front armor. Alright, look at this part here, all of the armor. And if we go to the infantry tab and we look at the BMP3, this thing only has 3 armor. Alright, this thing should at least have 5 armor for it to be balanced. I mean, it has a huge amount of metal right here, stopping a lot of shells. And I don't know, it looks a lot like the BMPT's chassis and like armor type, so it should have more armor than that. Only 3 armor is just not enough for the amount of metal in the front. Well, yeah, that's just me. I mean, if you look at the BMPT, it's pretty much the same size. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, 9 BMPTs untrained. Then we have 2 Buratinos, and these things are huge. And you probably know these things. They launch 30 napalm rockets with 10 HE power each. Really nice unit, and on top of that it has 3 or 10 front armor. It is a bit expensive though, 140 points for that, so make sure you micro this guy really well. Then we have some Conquerors vehicles with our to support our tanks. We don't really need them, so I'm thinking of actually removing it and getting some Zalos or something to support our infantry. I'm actually gonna do that, guys. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get some. Oh, we went for 80 gems again. I'm gonna get 13 Zalos and move it up with my initial ground force and see how they do against enemy transports. Then we have some helis, Mi-24Vs, AA helis, really good helis with a Yak B cannon, 64 rockets and 8 Igla missiles, and I put them on trained, and I'm actually gonna switch them over to hardened. Then we have 2 Mi-28 Havocs, and these things are amazing. They have 16 Attacker V 80 gems, 10 122mm rockets, and a 30mm cannon. On top of that, it is armored, 1 in the front, 1 in the side, and it has 8 strength. So really, really amazing looking heli. And it kind of looks like a, I don't know, it gives me the feel of a mouse. I mean, that nose and just the body, just, it feels like a mouse or something if you look from the front. You guys probably don't have that and are unsubscribing right now. Alright, so the plane section, we have the SU-27PU, a beautiful, beautiful looking plane with those colors. That's just, I just fall in love with this plane every time I look at it. So really formidable fighter, 180 point piece of killing machine. Fire and forget Wimples, long and short range are both fire and forget. 60% accuracy on those missiles, and if you go for elite, the accuracy just increases to like 90% or something. But yeah, really good range on that. On top of all of this ordnance, you get 50% ECM, exceptional air detection, max speed. Actually, I shouldn't say max speed. MiG-31M goes 1100 kilometers per hour. Yeah. So yeah, really good speed, 1000 kilometers per hour, and a really tight turn radius as well. Then to support that SU, we have these MiG-25 Pidgeys, which on their own can be a formidable fighter. And I've once took out 2 F-15C Eagles with 2 shots because of the splash damage and the HE value that these things have. 8 HE on those Wimples is amazing. Alright, it one shot stuns most planes, and the fire and forget Wimples here basically finish off the enemy. And I've put these guys on the lead because I want them to really hit that first shot. But yeah, those are amazing planes. Definitely use those. Then we have some seaplanes, the MiG-25BM, really nice seaplane with 4 amazing ranged seat missiles. Then we have a bomber, SU-24M, with 30 250 kilogram bombs. Absolutely destroys anything it hits, including heavy tanks. It stuns the hell out of them. And then we have some Yak-38 napalm bombers to basically block off any roads in the start of the game, or just to damage the enemy infantry a little bit. It does not have the best spread, so you might want to just swap it out for some more bombers, or maybe this SU-27M with the TV-guided missiles, which is a really nice thing to bring up together with your seed. Like, your seed will probably kill like 1 or 2 AA pieces, and then it will have to evac because it's out of missiles, and your SU-27M will just you know, take down some of the other stuff that you just spotted with that seed play. But yeah, that's basically my USSR deck, guys, as requested. I really enjoy doing these deck reviews. It just makes me, you know, I can just do a live commentary of what I think about those units. But yeah, that was it for this one. In the next one I'm gonna do Poland, as someone requested. And after that I'm probably just gonna do whatever you guys suggest down below. Probably like Blue Dragon support. Actually, someone wanted me to do USSR support, so I'm gonna probably do those as well. And yeah, we'll just go from there. So yeah, if you enjoyed, do all the good stuff down below, and I'll see you guys back in the next one.